The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. What effects can this dry spell have on your body and your mind?
Well, I think when we list, again, all the benefits of sex in that it reduces stress, it improves sleep, it improves your immune system, it allows for you to have a boost in your mood. It regulates the mood as well. It can also have massive positive impacts on your heart health and on your genital health and your pelvic floor strength. And so when you're not engaging with those parts of yourself, you could see a decline and an increase in stress, an increase in sleeplessness, and an increase in issues when it comes to mental health. So there are massive impacts to not having not just sex, but sexual connections that lead to intimate bonds.
Shan, give us some tips for singles who are starting to get back as we're inching our way out of the pandemic. What can we all do out there?
Dr. Warren, I don't know if you relate to this, but I grew up, I'm a leading edge millennial. So I'm towards the end of the millennial bracket, but I grew up without the phone. So it wasn't until I was like 16, 17, it came into play. So much of my greatest adventures came out of boredom because I wasn't doing anything. I didn't know what to do. So I was like, let's figure out something. Let's go hiking or bike riding. Let's go out there. Like, let's go. And I think because we have the phone all the time and we have constant entertainment at our fingertips, we don't allow ourselves to be bored. And without that boredom, the imagination doesn't get an opportunity to grow and thrive. I think that's even within relationships. You know, Netflix and chill used to be this term to describe sex, but for a lot of people who live together, it literally just means like you sit over here, I sit over here. We don't talk, we don't interact, we don't bond. We just binge watch shows one after the other. And the way the algorithm is let up, not only do you watch a show, it starts the next episode right away. So there's no space for boredom. There's no space for the imagination. So I think allowing yourself some time to sit in stillness, to do nothing, to have no stimulation can have a huge positive impact on your intimate life.
Very insightful, Shan. As we know, dating is meant to be fun. The whole process, meeting somebody, being excited, feeling your heart pitter-patter, all that stuff, falling in love, it's great.
I completely agree. I do think that the phones can help. I do think dating apps lead, to a lot of connections that couldn't have happened elsewise, but there's got to be a cutoff point, and we've got to know when to say, IRL, which is real life versus URL. And too many people are just choosing to log on way too often. And I think that the impacts of that are really clear in the stats that you mentioned.
I think both you and I are on the same page. We're advocating, get out there, do something fun, engage in an activity that you like to get away from that phone and that computer. And guess what? You just may run into somebody there that is a good match for you. Try something other than that dating app would be my recommendation. You also say, Shan, that you got to keep it light. What do you mean by that?
So if you do meet somebody and you bump into somebody serendipitously or through a dating app, and you decide to meet up together, I know from personal experience when I first started going back out there after lockdown, because I had a baby during the pandemic. So I was like definitely on lockdown for a long time. One of the small talk questions I used to try was like, how was the pandemic for you? And that led to some really heavy dialogues. And I think that was a lesson for me. What I learned that actually worked a lot better is keeping conversations light. It's been so much bad news and so much pain in this past couple of years for people. And a lot of people have lost people that they love. So instead of, only diving into how the world has changed, what has changed for you, how are you coping, giving somebody an opportunity just to have a fun conversation that reminds them that life is beautiful and great and joyous. So questions like, what's the best series that you've binged? Or what's the greatest, restaurant and Uber Eats that you've discovered? Talking about the things that get people excited. When somebody leans in to tell a story, you want to give them more of those opportunities, less of the stories that make us shrink and remind us that the world's a tough place right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. Listen, Shan, very insightful, great information, great tips. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure we'll see you soon.
I hope so.